Thank you, Grace. Your students are lucky to have benefited from your creativity and wisdom, and I know that will always be true. Mazel tov to all of you, the graduating class of 2024. This moment is always a joyous one, but this year it feels all the more important to mark it with exuberance. We rejoice with you, our graduates, for the milestones you have achieved, the opportunities you've taken, the communities you've strengthened, and the hopes you offer for a better future. We applaud your efforts. I'm still here. We applaud your efforts precisely for being hard-won after the many challenges you have faced during your student years. Especially since October 7th, we as a community have been carrying around so much pain, praying for the hostages' return and for Israel's safety, security, and well-being, weeping for the loss of innocent life in both Israel and Gaza, and praying for peace. Though our perspectives are not monolithic, we have held our community together, even as we have also experienced a rising tide of anti-Semitism in this country that has shaken us to the core. When we are in pain, whether emotional or physical, whether chronic or short-lived, it can overwhelm us. Figuring out how to persevere, how to look to the future, put one foot in front of the other despite our pain, is one of the challenges of being human. And we have struggled to find ways to do that in the aftermath of the horrors of October 7th. We each process pain differently, and yet Judaism provides a template that initially creates a supportive haven, but then pushes us toward re-engagement. For example, during the 7 days of intense mourning after a loved one's death, we grieve at home while friends, family, and community members come to us to offer comfort. But after that week, our tradition impels us, gently but firmly, to leave our comfort zone. Ready or not, the mourner must venture outside and walk around the block, symbolically reconnecting with the wider world. Without diminishing the mourner's pain, our tradition wants us, after just 1 week, to notice our surroundings, to recognize that our pain exists alongside both the world's beauty and the sorrows and struggles of others. I remember getting up from Shiva myself and going that very week to comfort another mourner, despite the rawness of my own grief. This is the balance we have always striven for at JTS. Studying our tradition, living as Jews, committed to the flourishing of Judaism and of the Jewish people at large, while being fully engaged with the wider world around us, both communally and intellectually. JTS deliberately made its home in Morningside Heights over 100 years ago, just as this neighborhood was becoming an intellectual hub. We always wanted our Jewish identity to define us, not confine us. We've always recognized that Jewish learning is enriched by the intellectual perspectives and tools of the academy, and we've always been committed not only to advancing a thriving Jewish community, but to engaging with the world in which we live and striving to improve it. Sadly, certain communal ties with friends, colleagues, and classmates at other institutions have been harder to maintain these past months. Many of you experienced hostility, erasure, even harassment as you strove to learn and socialize with others. Seemingly overnight, your sense of belonging to the wider world evaporated. The loss felt deep, agonizing, and ominous for Jewish engagement with society at large has come to define our way of living Jewishly. And yet it is important to remember that Jewish integration into Western society, with all the blessings that it has offered, was never a given. Rather, it resulted from hard-won efforts over the past 2 centuries. It was the noted 18th century philosopher Moses Mendelssohn who championed this struggle. A traditional German Jew who acquired a secular education, a merchant, and a theologian, Mendelssohn hoped to integrate into Western society as a way of both enriching Judaism and expanding opportunities for the Jewish people. Though he felt short of achieving his goals, he inspired a Jewish enlightenment that has accelerated this process of integration. The intellectual tradition that Mendelssohn pioneered is one we embrace and advance in ways he could only dream of. He would have loved our dual degree programs for the opportunity they provide to gain an integrated education that includes first-rate secular and Jewish studies. He would have been in awe of our graduate programs for their integrated approach to Jewish learning and engaging with the world around us, one that includes immersive study of traditional Jewish texts to the insights of modern scholarship and the study of the history and culture of the Jewish people over time and space. Mendelssohn, who made it possible for modern Jews to imagine a way to live as proud, knowledgeable, engaged Jews and members of society at large, reminds us of the importance of striving for that goal of integration, even when it can feel disheartening and at times quite painful to do so. This approach requires constant attention, lest we retreat to parochialism at the expense of concern for the welfare of the world, or weaken our Jewish anchor in pursuit of universalistic goals. Thus, despite the challenges of these past months, we at JTS invited caring, thoughtful Christian and Muslim faith leaders, academics, institutional leaders, and artists, as well as our own faculty and students, for a convening on anti-Semitism and allyship. Together, we learned about the history of both anti-Semitism and allyship. We highlighted common ground and considered how best to address contemporary anti-Semitism. We practiced what we preach, for as my cherished colleague, Professor Mary Boyes, emphasizes, dialogue is not a mere method, it is a way of life. Dialogue requires attentiveness to the emotions, virtues, and skills that nurture relationships, strengthen alliances, and attune us to the hearts and minds of others. Since October, as you know, I've ended countless communications with the line, "May we know more hopeful times soon." Where have I found a measure of hope day after day? I found it in you, our dear graduates. You, graduates of the William Davidson Graduate School of Jewish Education, the Kext Graduate School, Liss College, the Rabbinical School, and the H.L. Miller Cantorial School, you fill me with hope. Despite challenges and disruptions that punctuated your student years, you persevered. You studied the Jewish experience with head, hand, and heart, with an eye toward adding meaning, beauty, and purpose to your lives. You cultivated many forms of understanding and honed skills to develop compelling visions for a kinder, more just future. And you already put your learning to test this past year as you braved challenging situations with courage and resoluteness of spirit. As you venture out into the world, whether to academic positions, congregations, the business world, education, or any other one of many paths, this learning will be your anchor, your nourishing force. JTS will continue to fortify you throughout your lives, your mind, your character, your way of being. We look forward to seeing how you, as JTS alumni, will harness your knowledge and experiences for good, build alliances with others, and share your gifts with the world. We wish you much success as you do so in your own unique ways. Mazel tov to you and to all of us for reaching this day.